Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. It is March 27th, 2023. We are here for the APFA Virtual Retirement Seminar. Really happy to have all of you on with us today. We have a lot of really great information that will be shared on the retirement process and some best practices and great information on the process that is retirement. If you have any questions during the session, please feel free to submit them through the online format, and we'll be happy to address those. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to our retirement specialist.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
I guess it's afternoon already on the East Coast. So that's the problem with having a huge, diverse membership base is that you're never sure what time it is.
Working for an airline.
Yeah. We should all just operate in seat time and be happy with it. But welcome to the March 27th, 2023 APFA Retirement Seminar. There we go. All right. Who are we? This is Kim Coates-Scott. She's the APFA National Retirement Specialist. I'm Patrick Hancock, the APFA Retirement Specialist Emeritus, and I have no idea where those photographs came from. Hey, we also give a shout out to Ron Harris. He is an amazingly hard worker in the department, and he is responsible for an awful lot of what you will see here. That was him and I on a layover in London. He may have been a little overserved at that point, but yeah. Hey, that's who we are. Who we are not is we are not the company. This is a union meeting. And I have worked for this employer both as a flight attendant and a union rep long enough that I have developed a rather healthy cynicism of the management of this company. And so if I say something about the management of this company that you feel is insulting and hurts your feelings, anyway. Hey, we are also not your financial advisors, and we are going to strongly recommend that you get a financial advisor. We think we're going to say that 6 times in the course of this presentation. The financial advisors, their focus is being able to crunch the numbers and help you make the decision as to whether or not you're financially ready to retire. That's what they do. And there aren't a lot of people out in our work corps that can do that kind of number crunching. And even if you are one of them, having a second set of eyes and a second opinion is always a really good idea. We're also not your attorneys. We're not your attorneys. We're not your Medicare advisors. We're not your Social Security advisors. And you may find you need one or all of those, but that's not us. We're the APFA. And speaking of the APFA, as of February 2022, there were 24,764 members. How many of that group do you think are over the age of 80? You're wrong. It's 20. We have 20 people over the age of 80. And I'm going to add another bucket in there because we now have someone over the age of 85. I'll let you guess who that is. Moving on down, we got 144 in the 75. 500 people between 70 and 74. 1,700 people between 65 and 69. Oh my God, look at this. 4,000 people 60 to 64. And the largest of any age group is the 55 to 59, 5,000 people. That gives us 11,500 people that are eligible for retirement today. And if you look at what percentage of the total membership that is, that's going to explain to you why the APFA is spending so much time, effort, and money on making sure that people have the information and are ready for retirement. Let's go ahead and look at the rest of that. We've got 2,200s, 1,400, 900, 1,700, 33, 2,600. And that's the group. They're all kind of new hires. They've got you recognize them. They're cute, young, tight. They got those pointy little shoes. Like maybe that's still going to hurt you when you get older, but they won't listen. So that's our group. And this is my favorite slide because it reminds me why we're here, why we're doing this, because that's where our membership is. They need this information. Kim, what can you tell us about housekeeping?
All right. Everyone needs to know that the Good Slide handout, it's available on the APFA website. Also, we can send it to you if you make a request, a polite request. It follows our presentation. So if you happen to have the Good Slide handout, you don't need to take as many notes today. If you have any questions, you can submit them via chat and we'll try and stop throughout the presentation and answer questions. Also at the end, if we get any more, we'll answer more questions. Checklist. The back of the Good Slide handout has some very important checklists, such as what you need to be thinking about 60 days out from retirement, 90 days out from retirement, just 30 days before retirement, 30 days after retirement. So those are very, very useful if you're one of those people that goes, I think I want to retire, but I don't know what I need to do. So also there's a contact list, benefits contacts, company contacts, fidelity, and so on. But the most important contact of all would be retirement@apfa.org, where you can contact us with any questions. Also, we're going to cover today what retirement really means. So let's break it down a little bit for you. So we break it into baskets, and traditionally our retirement would include medical benefits, retirement benefits such as your travel benefits, and your pension and 401k benefits. But we had to switch that around because most people these days don't have a pension, unfortunately. So the 401k is even more important, and the 401k takes precedence. All right, the medical benefits, we refer to that as the incredible shrinking basket for two reasons. One, because our pre-funded medical benefits, which we had prior to bankruptcy, are gone. And the second reason being that the medical benefits are becoming more and more expensive all the time. And if you want to retire before you're eligible for Medicare, this is something you really want to think about, is how much are my medical benefits going to cost? All right, important questions you need to think about if you're considering retirement. What do you need to retire? What do you get in retirement? What about income? And what else do I need to research? There's always a few little extra details that you didn't think about that would be useful to research before you retire. So we're going to try and cover all of this here in our presentation. So what do you need to retire? Let's start with that. Well, in order to retire, you need to be eligible. You need money. That's a crucial factor. But most of all, you need to be ready. And you may have the first two, but you're thinking, oh, I love my job, I want to work a few more years. Then you're not ready, and you got to be ready. Okay, so in terms of eligibility, in order to retire, you must have at least 10 years of company seniority based on your date of hire. And your age plus your company seniority must equal 65 points or more. That's what the company refers to as the 65-point plan, and that's their criteria for determining retirement eligibility. Money. Patrick, you're the money guy.
Let's talk about money. So, when you're doing long-range planning, there are two major questions you have to answer. The first is, how much do I need to have saved on the day I retire to last me the rest of my life? That's kind of the goal, and that's one of the common questions we get. How much should I have? Well, that depends. Are you single? Are you married? Are you married to Warren Buffett? I mean, you know, all of those factors. You have 7 kids, 0 kids, 7 cats. It all causes you to have different goals. A portion of our flight attendant corps has a pension. Another portion has like half a pension with the PFGC. And so that number is different for all of us. And in order to get that number, you should probably go talk to a financial planner. I told you that's 2. All right. So, because that's what they help you do, is figure it out. What number do I need to retire? And then once you have that number, you have to answer the question, how much do I need to save each year to reach that goal? So if you're just thinking about retiring soon and you haven't answered all these questions, you're going to have, I believe corporate speak is more challenges, because retirement planning is a long range project. It's not something you do in the last 2 or 3 years before you actually leave the company. By the way, my favorite is that bottom right. I said you held Christmas off. I really wouldn't know about that, but yeah, anyway. So the general goal is to maintain the same lifestyle you had while you were working. And I guess that's okay. But, really, I'm kind of tired of being poor. I'd like to be one of those wealthy retirees I see on the commercials, jetting off to the Caribbean and using their Silver Sneakers membership. But apparently that's not the goal. Apparently the goal is to maintain the same lifestyle you had while you were working. And so, if you're retired at 67, the first question you have to ask is, how long am I going to live? What? Oh, come on. That's crazy. That's the first question? That's the first of our answers? Oh, Nah, I mean, no, that's, that's not really an answer. I mean, how long am I gonna live? Please. So instead of calling it an answer, I'm gonna call it, the first of our guesstimates. By the way, your life expectancy in 2022 is 77.3 years. 2022 had the largest decline since World War II. Thank you, COVID. Thank you, opioid epidemic. Little side note here, Friday, they announced the update, they gave the updated figures, and we once again dropped. We're now down to the 76. Seriously.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, we are like the second to the last of the 20 major G20s. So, yeah, so your life expectancy is 77.3 years. Men, that's 74.5. Women, 80.2. Guys, I got a question. If we're allegedly run the world, how do we let that happen? I mean, shouldn't power equal longevity? Either that's just a myth or,
Who really has the power?
or really, exactly. That's gonna be less for African Americans, 71.8, more for Hispanics. I got all of this information on the National Vital Statistics Report. Volume volume 86, book 6. So, and I am here to tell you that is the best cure for insomnia you're ever gonna find in your life. Take that on the layover, you will sleep like a baby. But that's just the first of our guesstimates. And the problem is, that's just an average. Half of us are gonna die sooner, half of us are gonna die later. So the question is, I like to tell the story that I started going great in high school, and I thought, it was so embarrassing, so frustrating, because, you're trying to fit in, and here I am getting gray hair already, and I'm in high school. And I went home one day and I said, hey, Mom, I discovered in biology class today that my gray hair is all your fault. Everything about a man's hair comes on the mother's genes. So what's going to happen next? Am I going to go bald early? I mean, did any of my uncles or grandfathers or anybody go bald early? She says, oh, honey, none of them ever lived that long. Great, thanks. A good genetic heritage, the best gift you can give your children. So the question you have to ask is, which half are you in? We all want to be in the half that's going to live longer, but that's only true for half of us. So that's the question. But that's not the only guesstimate we have. We have other guesstimates. For instance, salary projection, because we know salaries always go up. Unless you're in the airline industry. Yeah. Ooh. How about inflation? Because we know inflation always goes up, except for the last 11 years. We're finally getting back to some sort of equilibrium, but hey, that just makes guessing the number just that much harder. How about investment returns from the stock market? I don't even want to talk about it after last week, please. All right. So, that was the hardest question of all. Are you ready to retire? You need to be ready. And we talked to a lot of flight attendants who call and they got some sort of new problem, new company's come up with a new way to screw them. And so we figured it out and we solved their problem, or at least figure out how to get a solution. And then I said, oh, wait a minute, before you hang up, I've got a question for you. Did you retire at the right time? Is it good for you? And like 98, 99% of them are like, oh, it's the best thing I ever did. I don't know why I waited. I don't know how I ever had time to go to work. My life is so full of, yeah, thanks. But I don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to the 1 or 2% who aren't happy. Why aren't they happy? And almost universally, it's because they didn't plan. $40,000, that'll last me the rest of my life. Yeah, that's right. Or they took the sudden out.
Sudden out.
Yeah, the sudden out. That's where your flight service manager and the union rep meet you on the jet bridge. And as you're walking up the jet bridge, the union rep says, I got your retirement. I recommend your ticket. You hadn't planned. You're out of here. Or a more common case, your body gives up. You either age out, you get injured at work, you just can't do the job anymore, and you really hadn't planned to leave just now, but you're not coming back. Yeah, those are the people who are having difficulties in adjusting to retirement. So the question is, have you reached that point? You have to be at that point. And being flight attendants, we're gonna ask everyone. We're gonna ask our buddy bidders. We're gonna ask our sister. We may even ask our spouse. Maybe. Yeah. And because all those people want what's best for you, they will give you the answer that's best for them. Because that's how people work. And so you're gonna have to be the one to figure out if you're ready. And I was talking to a flight attendant retiree not too long ago, and she said, I was like a 98, 99% sure I was ready, but there's always that little doubt in the back of your mind. And she said, I remember the last time I had that little doubt in the back of my mind, and that was whether I wanted to be a stewardess. She said, "'Cause that's what it was when I sent my here, was steward, or when I hired out, a stewardess." And she said, that seemed to work out pretty good. So you'll probably never be 100% sure, but you're probably gonna be sure. Hey, Josh, did you say we have questions?
We have a couple. First question, I'm retiring in May. I was awarded the vacation buyout. Will I receive that amount in May or do I have to wait for June?
Well, because he or she is retiring in May, they're still gonna receive it in June, because normally when you retire, you get your vacation pay out on the 15th of the following month. So just because it's May, he or she's gonna get it at the exact same time as the regular people who get the vacation buyout.
All right. What options do I have returning my uniform pieces?
That's a
None.
tricky, yeah, none, unfortunately, because since our toxic uniform experience, the company doesn't want to have any, once the uniforms go to you from the manufacturer, they don't want to have any chain of custody issues or anything like that. So it was once, possible to have a little, store and operations where we make money for wings. The company won't let anyone do that anymore. So the best thing to do is find a new hire or somebody who's about your same size and see if they want your uniform pieces. And it's sad, but it's not a good thing we can do anymore, unfortunately.
I bet you that's a great Facebook question. Hey, anyone need size 2 uniform?
I think there are some little Facebook groups that go back and forth with uniform pieces as well. And you can always, if somebody wants to give you some money for your uniform pieces and you can donate it to me, that would be a great thing too.
The one thing is if you donate to a non-flight attendant, make sure you cut off all the insignia.
Mhm.
I get divorced in New York State in 1999. No quadro is mentioned in my stipulation of settlement. Only each will retain their own deferred compensation plans. Is he entitled to part of my pension?
No,
But you still need to send that little settlement statement from the divorce to the company when you're filling out your pension paperwork, because if you tell them that, they're just not gonna believe you. They wanna see it in writing from the court.
from the church.
I'm on medical leave and have COBRA until June 2024, $854 a month. If I retire now, can I keep the same coverage and rate as I have now, and for how long? Does COBRA start all over or reset at 18 months?
COBRA does not start all over if you're already on it when you retire. So you initially were given 18 months. After the 18 months, there's only one thing that could extend your COBRA, which would be if you became eligible for Social Security disability within a certain time period of getting your COBRA eligibility. So that could extend your COBRA, and pretty much that's it.
If you if you're over the age of 65 and you are active with COBRA and then you retire, you need to, at that point when you retire, switch to Medicare. If you're over 65.
Right, because COBRA is always secondary to Medicare. However, if you have dental and vision, that's not part of the regular Medicare, so you can continue those with COBRA, even if you switch to Medicare for the medical portion of your insurance. And we'll cover that a little bit later in our presentation as well.
My husband is a flight attendant. I want to go on his insurance. Can I do this on December 9th? I'll be on my insurance in 2023, but signed up to be on his in 2024. Can I switch to his immediately if I retire December 2023?
Your retirement is your spouse's life event to add you to their insurance. So as of you can't do it ahead of time, but once you retire, boom, the life event opens up and it's for 30 days or 60 days. I think it's 60 days at the company, but we recommend people to do it within 30 days at the retirement date. And if it's the beginning of the year like that, that's a good thing. So you may actually, if you're retiring, they say December 9th or December 9th, yeah. So that would be it.
Yeah, and I would ask, encourage you to do some math.
Mhm.
When you switch over to your husband's on December 10th, you're in a new plan. You now have a new deductible and a new out-of-pocket max. The deductible, the minimum deductible is about $850 or something these days. So you may find it cheaper to get 20 days worth of Cobra and then switch over on the first of the year, because you're gonna have a new deductible on the first of the year anyway. But if you have something happen in that last 20 days of December, you're gonna have a deductible in December and then turn around and have another deductible in January. So you may wanna just stay on your own with Cobra for 20-something days and then switch over on, yeah.
Or you might want to change your retirement date to January 1st and just get through the whole year on your benefit and then switch to your spouse's. And you could even do that during open enrollment, so you don't have to do it immediately after you retire. So there's all kinds of options. Call us if you want to strategize a little bit. If December 9th is a birthday or some company anniversary date or EPT date or something like that, you might not want to stretch out for the rest of the month, but if you can hold Christmas off and just go through the end of December, that's a possibility as well.
I'm retiring in November. When do I get paid for my 2023-2024 accrued vacation?
That again would be, depending on when you retire, but it's usually if say you retire at the end of November, then you would get it on the 15th of December, so the 15th of the following month.
For retirement, is the QIPSA only good? Will,
Actually, it's longer than that. It's about 30 days or
Yeah.
even a month and a half. So it might be the 15th of January, because the 15th of December, you get your final paycheck for any pay you're due. And your sick hours would be paid out on that if you're eligible for the 65-point plan. But then it's usually after that last paycheck, the vacation pay is a month after that these days.
for retirement, is the QIPSA only good? Will working on and your spouse receive the 100% after you retire?
No, actually, the QIPSA is for any time before you start your pension. So if you were to retire at 55, you could fill out a QIPSA form that would be in effect until you started your pension at 60 or 65. And again, that's only for the LAA pension.
Correct.
Any,
We'll cover the QIPSA a little bit later in the presentation as well.
if you don't want to receive your vacation payout until next year, 2024, and you are thinking of retiring October 31st, 2023, is there any way to get it delayed?
Nope, except you can always have an election to have your vacation pay going to your 401k. 100% of your pay going to your 401k, and then you can take it out whenever you want. That's basically the only way to delay that payout to you. Okay, let's continue.
Hey, Kim, what do you get in retirement?
Okay, so what you get in retirement, that would be your travel privileges. You also get paid out for your sick and vacation. We had a few questions about that. You get a retirement gift, lovely. You also get the status of being a retiree. And you get the option to purchase some really expensive retiree medical insurance if you retire from the company between the ages of 55 and 60. So as far as travel benefits go, you get your D1, D2R, D2P, D3, AA 20, and 20% off Advantage tickets still, which is good. All non-rev travels booked through the non-rev travel planner, which is on the AA retiree site. So once you retire, you don't have JetNet access anymore. You'll go to www.retirees.aa.com, and that's where you'll find everything you need, including non-rev travel planner. Service charges and taxes are charged through your credit card, and of course, a pro tip is that you get your D3s to list their own credit card, and you don't get zinged for their travel charges. Your Zed fares can be booked through My ID Travel, also on the AA Retirees site. There's no jump seat authority anymore, which causes some of us to delay our retirements. No KCM, we got to go through a regular security line. That's a bummer. However, these days, we're all getting, random anyway. It doesn't maybe not make a difference. There are some non-friendly travel companies that give us discounts, such as Perks and Darga. Ron Harris used to always say, if you're feeling kind of low, take one of those cruises out of Galveston on they book through Perks, and you'll be the youngest and cutest one on the trip. You'll come back feeling great. Yeah, we get a lot of seniors on, and probably by the time I retire and do it, I won't be the youngest. Maybe the cutest, I don't know. We'll see. Also, if you're retiring in, say, the next 6 months to a year, and it's coming time to renew your global entry and TSA pre-check, you might want to look at doing that one more time on the company's dime. If you're retiring next month and it doesn't expire for a year, you're out of luck. But for some people it works. They get it done one more time for how long is it? 5 years?
Okay.
Yeah, before they retire. So timing is a good thing on that one. All right, sick and vacation pay. So your unused sick time is paid out at a paltry rate of $8.65 per sick hour, which is why we always suggest that you try and use all of your sick time for a legitimate medical issue prior to your retirement. Now, it's possible if we get some of the things we've asked for in negotiations, which are out there, if you're looking at the negotiation hotlines, we could get paid out at full rate, or we could get our sick time going into a retirement medical account at full rate. But we'll see if we get this in negotiations or not. One can always hope. Unused and accrued vacation is paid out at $4, 4 hours at your rate of pay. So 4 hours per day at your rate of pay, which is the contractual rate for vacation, as long as you have 7 days or more of vacation. It's 3.5 hours per day at your rate of pay if you have less, but most people have at least the 7 days when they retire, because you get paid out not only for your bid vacation that you haven't used yet, but you get paid out for any accrued vacation that's accrued between the beginning of the year and the time of your retirement that we haven't even bid for yet. So you will never lose out on your vacation when you retire, and that's a good thing. All right, note that we were talking a little bit about this, having your vacation go into your 401k. Your 401k, your vacation payout is eligible to go into your 401k as an employee contribution, but it is not eligible for the employer match and company contribution. So keep that in mind. But if you want to put it in there and take it out, defer the taxes on it, that's a good option. All right, pro tip. This is what we were talking about before. You can change your 401k deduction amount on the Fidelity website is where you would go to do that. All right, you get a retirement gift. You contact your flight service manager. So basically when you notify your flight service manager within 30 days, between 30 days and 2 weeks out, they're going to send a message to the Flight Service Administration Group to change your coding on the day of your retirement from active employee to a retired employee, and that's going to trigger the issuing of your flight attendant gift catalog. It will be sent out about 30 days after you retire, but it doesn't hurt to remind your manager that you're going to retire and you would like to receive the gift catalog. Catalog comes with a commemorative certificate with your name and years of service. The gift options include a wide array of desk catchers, kind of like the Sky Mall, but a mini Sky Mall with fabulous things. You can get somebody like a champagne bucket and glasses, or jewelry. There may even be a little charm from Tiffany's, glass plaque. There's the lovely crystal tail of the aircraft. You always have that sitting on your shelf.
Yeah, it's important to have a pretty tail around the house, so just.
Doesn't hurt. So also your status is going to be changing, and this is a little hard for some people. You're going to be changing from Sky Goddess to Well, in the case of me and Patrick, you know, we're gonna be confirmed cat rangers when we
Absolutely.
retire, so other people's status may change to someone who likes to volunteer for a dog rescue place, or, you know, confirmed looking after the grandkids, or, well, some people start another career. And it's definitely gonna change from the Sky Goddess thing for most people. All right. So retirees, can submit an online request for their retiree ID. Whoa, you can use it, everything came in all at once. You can use it for discounts on shipping or FedEx discount. That's a huge perk of retirement, that you still get that FedEx discount. As far as travel goes, your government issued ID is required for travel, so you do not need your retiree ID in order to travel as a non-rev. A lot of people go, I'm contemplating on going somewhere like, you know, the week after I retire, and I don't know if I'll have my retiree ID yet. Well, you don't really need it. Sometimes it's nice to have, so the other flight attendants know you're retiring. They'll treat you nice and give you wine, but you don't need it to travel. Just your driver's license or your passport will suffice. Also on the retirees website, you're gonna have payroll access, because unfortunately Uncle Sam still must be paid. You gotta pay your taxes, so it's helpful to have that information. If there's archives of e-pays and paperless pay, and then the new payroll system that started on October 15th of 2020, anything after that. It's all in there for you to access. However, your detailed sequence information is not available. So if you want to print any of that out before you leave, it's a good idea. Backwards. All right, if you're not able to retire, guess what? You can just quit. If you want to quit, what you need to do is contact your flight service manager and give notice. Like I said, they prefer to have 2 weeks notice, but we've had a few people who go, hey, if I fly one more trip, I'm gonna be on the news, and I don't want that to happen. So, hey, FSM, I'm retiring today and I'm not flying my next trip. So if you have to do that, you can. They do prefer the 2 weeks notice. Your vacation will be paid out. It's contractual. If you qualify for a pension, you can start it by, if you're LAA, you start it by contacting the Pension Service Center at AA, and it's actually on the Fidelity website now as well. If you're LUS, you contact the PBGC and start your pension through them. Since you're not, if you're not a retiree, you know, you can just quit, but if you're not eligible for the 65-point plan, you will not be paid out for your sick time. So that's the only thing you would lose by not being eligible for the 65-point plan. All right, any questions at this stage, Josh?
Yes. Is it important to fill out the pre-retirement survivor annuity election form?
If you have a legacy AA pension and you're married, then it's important, and you've been married for at least 12 months, it would just mean that your spouse would get a higher level of benefit if you were to pass away before you start your pension. So in that case, if you care about what your spouse would get if you're not around anymore, it is important.
But if you don't like your spouse, you don't.
Yeah, don't worry. Or you're not married, then don't worry.
If I leave before 65, is there any COBRA medical available for purchase? Is there present negotiations for better dollar value for sick hours?
There is present negotiation for better dollar value for sick hours. So stay tuned and follow the negotiations updates. We would like to get the full rate of pay for our sick hours, just like we do for our vacation pay. And we'll see what happens, so stay tuned.
And the COBRA, you are eligible for 18 months or until you turn 65. I don't know how close you are to 65 of COBRA. And it's kind of like a Chinese menu. You can select which of those, you know, I want one from column A, one from column B. You get to choose which of the items you want to continue under COBRA.
But if you're more than 18 months away
Yeah.
from age 65, you're not going to be able to extend it unless you qualify for an extension due to a disability. So then at that point, and we'll talk about this again further in the presentation, you have to go on the Affordable Care Act, find some coverage or something like that. Anything else, Josh?
Yes. So QUIP says for payments to spouse when you retire.
QUIP is for a payment to a pension benefit to your spouse if you pass away before you have commenced your pension benefits. So for most people, that would be prior to retirement. But say you retire at age, 55 and you don't want to start your pension yet because it's not the full benefit. And then you pass away in 2 years. If you haven't commenced your pension benefit and your spouse, and you have a QUIP on file, your spouse will get a higher benefit.
If I can expand on that a little more, under federal law, if you're legally married and you have a pension, your spouse is automatically entitled to 50% of your pension when you die. And on the day you retire, you can elect to take less while you're alive so that your spouse gets more than that 50%. You can do 50%, 66, 75, 100%. The QUIPSA form is for that window between when you fill out the QUIPSA form and when you start your pension. So the presumption is that your spouse you're gonna want to give your spouse the 50%. Most of us don't have that desire. If we're dead, we want our spouse to get as much of the pension as possible. So the QUIPSA form allows us to do it. One of the things to pick something more than the 50%, one of the things you may hear on the QUIPSA form is that don't do it, it'll cost you money. And that's not true for flight attendants. APFA negotiated that the company pays for that coverage, not the flight attendant.
Vacation can be rolled over to 401k even if you are over 70.
Yes, as long as it's gonna be your final paycheck from the company. And so whatever you put down for your percentage to go into your 401k, that can happen on your last payout of your vacation, even if you're over the age to start taking distributions.
If you retire and contract is settled and there is retroactive pay, will you get it?
That depends on what we negotiate. I've been through more than one contract at this union, and sometimes the retro pay applies to people who've already left, and sometimes it doesn't. It depends on what you negotiate.
Is there a penalty if you retire QI?
Yeah.
If you are single and you allowed to designate, if you are single, are you allowed to designate someone else as a beneficiary of your pension?
You're not allowed to use the QUIPSA form that we were talking about earlier because that's just for spouses. However, once you retire and you get your pension paperwork, there are options where you could put anyone down as a beneficiary at that point. But if you put somebody a lot younger down, it's going to reduce your pension a lot. So there's, you have to weigh it out whether it's worth it.
If my monthly pension is below a certain monthly amount, will my pension be awarded as a lump sum annuity? How do I know what that amount is?
Yes, and it's really easy. You figure out how long am I going to live, and you take that monthly pension amount and you multiply it times that many months that you're going to live. If the number is less than 5,000, well, if it's less than 10,000, you get to choose whether you want the monthly checks or if you want a lump sum. If that number is less than 5,000, you don't get a choice. The company sends you a check.
And the 5,000 or the 10,000 is not a monthly amount.
It's the total.
The total for the rest of your life is less than 5,000, which would be a matter of a few dollars a month or something like that. They'd rather pay you out in a lump sum than send you a check for $5 a month or something. So.
That makes sense. If your COBRA is over, can you opt for the retiree healthcare anytime after COBRA and before 65, or do you have to start it immediately after COBRA?
You can opt for it at any time. You're going to get an offer of it when you retire, and you can just call benefits and say you're deferring your enrollment into their retiree plan, and then you can call back once the COBRA is over and say, okay, I'm ready to pay all that money for the retiree standard medical plan.
All right, we are good to continue.
All right,
Patrick,
let's talk about income.
let's talk about income.
Okay, in retirement, you're hopefully going to have multiple streams of income. I tend to think there's 5 biggies. You're gonna have the 401k, you're gonna have your IRA or individual retirement account, you're gonna have your social security, and you're gonna have your savings. And savings has some really interesting ways that are in that, things that are in that bucket that you may not think of as traditional savings accounts. And if you have them, you're gonna have a pension. And if you've got all 5 of those streams, it's extremely stable. It's kind of like having a 5-legged stool. And the reason that's important is one of them gets kicked out from underneath you, you still have some stability. And, let's pick on Social Security. What if the United States Congress were to decide that you get less or no Social Security? Can I say, you take advantage of tax deferred savings in your 401k? Your employer got a tax break from funding a pension. We're going to make sure, we're going to take away your Social Security because you don't need it as much as other people. Would they do that? It's the US Congress, so yeah. Remember how Social Security used to be, you got it at 65 and now it's 66 or 67. For me, it was 66 in 4 months. Yeah, they did that to balance the budget. That was Ronald Reagan and Congress back then. And they did this monkeying around with the retirement age in order to say that they successfully balanced the budget. They figured out that by the time we figured out how they screwed us, they'd be dead. They're right. I'm still mad at them, but yeah, so it could happen. And every time I see this list, I'm very grateful. I work for a unionized workforce in a union that has the concerns of the membership's future as part of their focus, because I contrast this list of 5 income streams with the over 50% of people on Social Security that's all they've got.
Scary.
I mean, how secure is your financial life if it's entirely dependent on the good graces of the United States Congress? Yeah, I know. All right. Hey, what about my 401k? Well, the first option is that you can go ahead and pay that back, and you just pay it back on the same amortization so you've been on. The difference is you're gonna have a paycheck to have that deducted from, so they're gonna have you set it up as a direct debit from your checking account. The second option is you can stop making payments and take the outstanding balance as a distribution, which will be taxed as income, and if you're not at 59.5, you pay the penalty as well. That is not a good option.
No.
No, because you lose all future earnings on that money. If you have to, go ahead and continue paying it back on the amortization schedule. One last thing to remember about the 401k. Your 401k will freeze solid for the first 30 days before after you exit from the company. And I mean solid, you can't make changes to your investments, you can't add money, you can't take money out. So you might want to consider rolling some money out of your 401k prior to exiting if you really need that money within the first 30 days. I also want to point out, if you need money from your 401k in the first 30 days, you may not actually be ready for retirement yet. So yeah, you'll have the option to roll your 401k into an IRA, and you'll hear from a lot of financial advisors that want to make a commission on you rolling it over. That's a great idea. Or if you get a new 401k, you start another job, well, Walmart, they got a great 401k. They'll be happy to have you roll your 401k over into the new 401k, or more importantly, you can just actually leave it where it is and manage it through Fidelity, just the way you've been managing it now. None of that changes. And one advantage to leaving it where it is that we've got a lot of people. It's a really big 401k, like 149,000 last time I looked. And therefore, the administrative costs are very low. I think we're paying less than $100 a year for the administrative costs on our 401k, which is just really a great deal. Well, hey, what about my IRA? Well, we've got pre-tax and post-tax, just like we were talking about with the 401k. And you can, like you say, you've got the option sometimes to roll that 401k over into an IRA because it continues. There are, however, income limits on the IRA. You can't contribute to an IRA if you make more than $138,000 if you're single, $218,000 if you're married. I got a phone call from my neighbor and he said, hey, they won't let me contribute to my 401k for last year. I'm like, yeah, you made too much money. Cry me a river already. Yeah. Like we talked about, you have that conversion right. And if you convert it to an IRA and then retire, you can't convert it back. You can roll it back if you're still active, but once you retire, it's a one-way door out of there. Hey Josh, we have more questions.
When you retire and you do 50% spouse, will it change to the 100% if you die first?
Maybe. We're gonna talk about that in a minute, and it's got to listen for the words pop up. That'll answer your question.
There's an option for that.
That's it. Kim, what can you tell us about Social Security?
Okay, so Social Security, never thought I'd be talking about it. It was the realm of old people who are sitting around talking about their aches and pains, but guess what? Now I'm getting to the age where I might want to start thinking about it. Scary. Okay, so Social Security may be taken as early as age 62 and as late as age 70. No increase comes after age 70 on your Social Security, so you don't want to wait until after age 70 is started. You can go to www.ssa.gov. That's the website. You can get a lot of good information, look at what your Social Security will be at your normal retirement age, 67 for most people, anyone born after 1960. What it would be if you wait till age 70, what it will be if you have to take it early because of a disability. So it's useful information, good to know before you think about retirement. Married couples have some complicated decisions about when and how to draw their Social Security. A single person has about 9 different options, which multiplies to 81 options if you're a married couple. So you want to talk to a Social Security advisor, Social Security advisors, or if you're a geek like Patrick, you can get an app for that and find out how to optimize your Social Security benefits. So once again, you can go to ssa.gov for more information about that. So early Social Security at age 62, there are some pros and cons to taking it early. So it's good to think about it. Or you just go and get retired at 62 and start taking early Social Security. So one pro is you can get more years of payments. Another pro is that you can get the money if you need it now. So, you know, one of those sudden out people, you had to retire early due to an illness or injury. It's better to put in for Social Security disability in that case because it is a higher rate of pay than early Social Security, but some people don't qualify or have to retire early for a different reason. And that it would just enable you to get your money earlier if you need it. Okay, wait, what's happening? All right. So a con is that you're going to get lower payments for the rest of your life. You started early. It's going to stay at the same rate. It's not going to increase unless you're able to return to work and work a few more years. In that case, it could increase a little bit. Another con is that you will be subject to income limits. So if you're taking early Social Security up until you hit your Social Security normal retirement age, you're going to be limited on how much you can make without being taxed at a higher rate. So for 2023, the first $21,240 you make would be taxed at a certain rate, a lower rate, and then you deduct $1 of benefits for every $2 earned after that limit. So if you're in a higher income bracket, have a higher pension, your spouse is still working, these are things to consider. Also, the break-even point, that's the average age of death as far as, when you should take your Social Security. So you want to ask yourself, hey, am I going to be like Patrick's uncle who died prior to the age of, I don't know, even finding out if they were going to go bald or not. Or my grandmother who bought a car in her late 80s and was still driving in her early 90s, which one is it going to be? Here's a little chart to illustrate that point. When should I start? So Patrick's uncles maybe should have taken early Social Security, age 62, then they would get more before the lines cross, which is the average age of death, unfortunately. My grandmother, she might have started later, and she lived later, so she would get more overtime by waiting till the full Social Security age. Trouble is, you never know which bucket you're in. You just have to do an educated guess based on your family history and your general health prognosis. So, all right, full Social Security at normal Social Security retirement age. So there are special one-time limits. For the first year, you reach your Social Security normal retirement age. For the months before your birthday, they allow you to go slightly higher amount of earnings if you're turning, 67, for instance, partway through the year. And for 2023, you could earn 58,520 and still not be penalized for those income limits.
I was thinking about that 58,000 is really generous if you retire, if you turn 67, say in March, because you got 3 months in which you can earn 58,000. However, if you're like a November baby like me, I can only earn 58,000 in those first 10 months.
And July, I'm in the middle of the year.
Well, you got it. You're always one step ahead of me.
All right, and then we have our little chart because we always have people asking, well, what's my Social Security normal retirement age? And as I mentioned before, anyone born after age 60, after 1960, it's age 67. But if you look at the chart, it will show if you were born prior to age 60, when you can start your full Social Security. All right, so Patrick, what counts as earnings for Social Security?
Well, that's a good question because we've been saying your earnings are limited. But what is earnings? Well, earnings include income from wages, net earnings from self-employment. You get the little booth down at the White Elephant. You're selling stuff that you bring back from Peru. Yeah. They also include bonuses, commissions, severance pay. Here's the good news. Earnings do not include investment income, pensions, capital gains, and inheritances. Therefore, dividends and capital gains won't negatively affect your Social Security benefits directly, even if you decide to file earlier than your full Social Security retirement age. So, taxes on Social Security? Absolutely. The first 15% of your Social Security is tax-free no matter how much you make. Bill Gates doesn't pay tax on his first 15% of his Social Security. He doesn't know if that's true. Now, you may pay tax on 0, 50, or 8 or 5% of the rest, depending on your total combined income. Note that's how much of the money that will be taxed, not the tax rate. So here's a little chart showing that. If you make between 0 and 25,000 and you're single, you pay 0%. If you make 25 to 34 and you're single, you pay 50%. You'll pay tax on 50% of that. And 34,000, you'll pay tax on 85% of it. But the question is, what about my state? Well, in 37 states, your Social Security is state tax-free. 13 states do tax some or all of your Social Security. That would be Colorado, Connecticut, Kansas. So you might want to think about where you retire to in terms of taxes. I noticed New Mexico's in there. New Mexico is a very popular retirement destination because it's generally warm and beautiful. But you might want to think about it because you're going to take a hit on your Social Security. All right, so that's Social Security. Let's look at another leg of our stool, savings. In addition to cash, stocks, and bonds, you may have hidden savings that you don't think about. For instance, home equity. And there are a lot of different ways to get at your home equity. You could downsize, sell your 5-bedroom home and get a nice little 2-bedroom townhouse where you don't have to do the grass anymore. And that would be one way to get at your home equity. There are home equity lines. There's also reverse mortgages, and you will hear 10 ads a day if you watch television about getting a reverse mortgage. They used to be really horrible, awful. Now they're just horrible, awful. Yeah, so they're slightly improved. They're still not a good deal for anybody. But hey, it's out there if you need it and you don't have any other options. Life insurance. And by that, I mean, if you've been purchasing a whole life and you have some cash value in there, they will frequently let you borrow the cash value and they just reduce the death benefit by what you borrowed.
mind you, the life insurance that we get from AA is not whole life. It does not acquire cash value. So it's a term insurance, like your car insurance or home insurance. So
Yeah, I just spent a whole year on my auto insurance and didn't make a single claim. How terrible. I should go have an accident. Or
don't do it.
I didn't get to claim on my life insurance. Actually, that's a really good thing. Yeah. Hey, Kim, what can you tell us about pensions?
Okay, so as far as when you can commence your pension, it's going to depend on which carrier you came with prior to the merger. So if you're a legacy US Airways person, you're going to have certain options. If you're a legacy AA person, you're going to have other options. If you were former US Airways, you could have started your career at any of these carriers, Allegheny, Piedmont, PSA, Trump Shuttle, regular US Airways. So that's going to determine how and when you can start your pension. So if you started at Trump Shuttle, your early pension age is age 52, your full pension age is age 62. If you decide to take it between 52 and 62, there's a 3% per year reduction for each year that you take it early. And that's going to stay the same forever. So if you started at 52, you're going to see that 3% reduction for the rest of your life, but you get to take your pension for, 10 years longer. So that's, they're stretching out the money over more time. And that explains the reason for the reduction. If you start at Piedmont, Allegheny, or US Airways, your early pension age is age 55, your full pension age is 62. And former PSA, early pension age is 55 and full pension age is 65. For the legacy AA folks, you have to have 15 years of what they call retirement eligibility service, and your early pension age is age 55 and your full pension age is age 60. So you would see that 3% per year reduction if you start between age 55 and age 60. One thing to note for the LAA folks, and we're going to talk about double dipping in a minute, but the legacy AA pensions, you're not able to double dip, which means you would be able to take your pension and work at the same time. There's one small loophole for certain people over age 70 and a half, but other than that, the legacy AA people are not able to double dip. Double dipping means you can start your pension while you're still working. And as of June 1st of 2021, the PBGC ended their, early pension regulation that was in place up until that time. So that means if you reach the early pension age, you can start double dipping. You can start double dipping at the full pension age or any time in between if you have a PBGC pension. The early restrictions still apply. So if you start at 55 or 52 in certain instances, you're still going to see that 3% reduction per year. And no reductions if you start at the full pension age. All right, so pension options. Patrick, how many options do I have for taking my pension?
How many you should
I'm
ask?
so confused.
I know. Actually, you have three different basic ways to get your money. The first is a single life annuity. The PBGC calls it a straight life annuity, which is really handy because everyone refers to this as an SLA. We're airline. You run on caffeine, jet fuel, and acronyms. The second is you can share with someone else, and I remind you, it is nice to share. And the third is you can get a minimum number of checks, and that's true of all of our pensions. There's a fourth option for legacy AA, and that is more upfront, less later. The single life annuity is pretty straightforward. You get a check every month until you're dead, and then it stops. And that's pretty much what what everyone thinks about when they think about a pension. A payment every month is an annuity. We've got a lot of annuities in our lives, mortgages, car payments, and this is an annuity coming in. And that annuity is for life. And so we're going to call it a life annuity. It's for one life, yours. So that's where we get the single life annuity or straight life annuity acronym from. And that single life annuity is the normal form of benefit. And like I said, it's what people think of when they think of a pension as just a payment for your life. And normal has a couple of other definitions as well. You know, when we were trying to do the valuation, how much do I need to have saved on the day I retire that lasts? Well, for your pension, the company has to do the same calculation. And on the day you start, when you're not even thinking about pensions, they have to make some assumptions. How long you're gonna work? What are your wages gonna be? How much is the pension going to change over the course of your career? And what age will you start your pension, and what form of benefit will you take? And the single life annuity is the form of benefit they assume that everyone's gonna take. And therefore they create a valuation for that. And the valuation of that single life annuity determines all the other payment options. Well, what are those other options? Well, let's talk about it's nice to share. That's a pension for your life and someone else's life as well. They will get an annuity for their life after you are gone. They survived you, and so we're gonna call it the survivor annuity. You don't get two checks at once. You get a check until you're dead, and then your survivor gets a check until they're dead. However, remember, it's still the same big pile of money, you're just slicing it up differently. And therefore, you can choose to leave 50 to 100% of what you're getting, not the single life annuity amount, but your reduced amount because you're getting the joint survivor. But here's the problem. The more you leave them, the less you get.
What?
Yeah. So I guess I'm gonna have to leave something for Mozo, otherwise they're gonna be living under a bridge. So I'm just gonna do that. I'm just gonna take less. But crap, what happens if they die first? I'm stuck at that lower monthly amount. I could have had more, a higher amount with a single life annuity. But that's just kind of the risk you have to take when you're gonna try and cover your spouse. However, there is a way to cover that risk. Flight attendants have another option called the pop-up option. By taking a slightly lower amount each month, you can cover that risk with the joint annuitant die first. With the pop-up option, if your joint annuitant dies first, you pop back up to the single life annuity for the rest of your life as though you never made that decision.
And this is what we had that question about.
Yes. And the question was, can I cover the risk that my joint annuitant will die first? Yes. You select the pop-up option. And
It's only eligible for is this both LUS and LAA or?
Yes, the LUS pensions have a pop-up option as well.
Perfect.
And I know you married that 32-year-old pool boy, you go girl. But you may find that, life is uncertain. They're a lot more annoying than you remember. So, and those fluorine accidents happen. So most people who take the joint survivor all but take the pop-up option as well. But the cost, like the difference between the regular joint and the joint with pop-up, is based on the age spread between you and your joint annuitant. What are the odds that you're going to outlive them? And most people are going to take one of these two options. By most people, I mean like north of 95%. But there is another option, and that is the guaranteed period certain. You get a minimum number of checks. You get 10, 15, or 20 years, or LA 5, 10, or 15 years worth of checks, whether you live or not. So you're going to get them for life, but if you die before the 10, 15, or 20 years that you selected, the checks will continue to come to whoever you listed as the beneficiary on that for the rest of that 10, 15, or 20 years. It's not a new 10, it's the 10 years from the day you retired. So very few people take that. It doesn't make sense in very many situations. There's a couple of rare ones, but it's nice to know it's out there. And then if you're LAA, there's a fourth option, and that's called the level income option. That's more upfront, less later. And again, not very many people will take that, but the people it will help are the people that find themselves retired and are going to be fine when Social Security kicks in, but it has to get. And American says, we have an option for you. And that option is we will give you more now, and then once your Social Security age, they don't really care whether or not you take Social Security. But once your Social Security age, either the 62 or the SSNRA, then you'll take less there, and it kind of levels it all out. I'm not sure it's accurately sound, but if you need the money, it's out there. You can do it this way. So, hey, how do I apply for my pension? Well, No earlier than 90 days before you start your pension. Oh, no. I need to know 6 months out. Sorry. No earlier than 90 days before you start your pension. At LDA, you can request a kit over the phone by calling the Pension Service Center at 800-447-2000, or you can visit the Pension Service Center in JetNet, or you can, on the now on Fidelity, you can click, when you're looking at your estimate, there's also a Request My Pension tab. And that will start the process by which they send you paperwork to reclaim your pension, which everyone calls a kit, so your pension kit. If you're LUS or you otherwise have a PBGC pension, you can call them directly at 800-400-7242, or you can go online to pbgc.gov, set yourself up a nice little account, and you can request it directly there. Are there taxes on pensions? Oh, yes, there's taxes on everything.
Bummer.
I know. You pay federal tax on pensions as ordinary income, either 10 to 37%, depending on how much you make. The 10% rate is 0 to 11%, and 11,000, and that 11,000 never gets taxed at a higher amount. Even if you're making millions of dollars a year, that first 11,000 is at 10%. That's what the brackets are. It's not like the whole rate pops up. All the way down to, for our people, 22% up to 95,000, 24% up to 182. And you're gonna be paying that percentage on your taxes on top of everything else. There are several states that don't tax pensions, 14 states that or only tax a portion of the pension, 4 states. Now remember, your mileage may vary. The numbers used are for some mythical flight attendant and not for you. What can you tell us about pension tips?
Okay, here's a few useful pension tips. The pension kits, as we mentioned before, can be requested from AA or the PBGC no more than 90 days out from your retirement. So we have a few type A people that want to get everything done 6 months out. Sorry, it's not going to work. You have to wait till 90 days out from your retirement date. Or you can always say you're going to retire sooner, because guess what? The pension kits are usually good for 6 months from the date they're issued. So you could give a little bit of an earlier date and then call either AA Retirement Services or the PBGC and say, hey, I changed my date to a later date. So, and people are intimidated by the pension paperwork. It's not really that intimidating. You just have to go through it step by step. It's a lot of stuff in a little package that looks intimidating, but it's not. So pensions always start on the first of every calendar month. So if you're not retired as of the first of the month, you won't be getting a pension check for that month. So some tips are to be done with your last trip before the end of the month. If you're planning on doing a last, hurrah trip to some fabulous place in Europe or the Caribbean or something, make sure it's not a flight through trip, because if you're still on the payroll, you can't be a retiree at the same time, and that would prevent you from getting a pension check for that month. More pension tips. Have copies of all divorce decrees and quadros for the period of time you were hired. Like if you were working for US Airways or AA and you were married and divorced prior to that time, you don't need to worry about it. But if you were married and then divorced during the time you worked for the company, that's when you need to provide that paperwork. So make sure that those are included with your pension paperwork, or it could cause some delays. If you're a widow or a widower, you may have, have to provide a copy of the death certificate when you return your pension kit. So that's a good idea to have that on hand. The first month, as we mentioned, is always paid retroactively. So it normally takes about, they're trying to get better. It was 6 to 8 weeks. They may be getting it down to like 4 to 6 weeks after you actually retire. So you won't get it on your retirement date, but you will be retro paid for that first month as long as you requested and got your pension paperwork in on time. All right, that equips a qualified pre-retirement survivor annuity. You notice we were saying pre-retirement. Really, it's pre-commencing of your pension. Federal law says your spouse automatically gets a 50% joint and survivor annuity as long as you've been married at least 12 months. So yeah, no deathbed marriages.
That was my plan.
Sorry. Okay. So, it allows you, the postal form allows you to leave 100% of your pension to your spouse if you were to die before commencing your pension payments. So it's a useful thing to have on file. The form can be found on JetNet or on the APFA website. And a thing to remember is that I had somebody recently ask me, hey, do I need to retract my POPSA form when I actually retire and fill out my pension paperwork? No, it's a pre-retirement, it's a commencing your pension form. So when you actually get your pension paperwork and send that in, the POPSA becomes null and void. Flight attendants are the only work group at the company that can fill out this form and get the benefit without being charged for it. So if you talk to a pilot and they say, don't fill out that postal form, it's going to reduce your pension, that doesn't apply to you, it only applies to them. So that's a good thing that the union negotiated for the LAA flight attendants way back in the day. Also, as I mentioned before, you have to have been married at least 12 months to be eligible to turn in this form. All right, any more questions, Josh?
Yes.
There's more coming in.
Just to confirm, after the first 30 days of retirement, you can make withdrawals from your 401k as you please.
Correct.
As long as you're of the age, right?
Yeah, it's taxable and you gotta be 59.5, or there's another, if you're 55, but I get 59, talk to us.
There's a little exception.
Yeah.
Like rule of 55 or something.
Right,
like that.
what they'll do is they'll say, okay, you're really retired, but you're not yet 59, if you take it out on an actuarial basis, so we say you're 55, you're gonna live to 80, that's 25 years, so you have to take out 1/25 of it every year to avoid the penalty.
So it's a little complicated. That's one of those things you should talk to a financial advisor about
Yes.
if you're thinking about doing that.
I have the MetLife insurance for both my husband and I. If I retire, I lose. If I retire, I lose this, correct? Did you think the MetLife insurance was term insurance?
Life insurance, whether disability insurance or your life insurance is term insurance, yes. So once you retire, we are going to cover this in the next section, but once you retire, you will be given the option to continue that insurance, the life insurance. But it's a little bit costly, so not everybody does it, but you will be given that option.
Okay. If you were not getting a pension, does it matter end of month or the first of the month when you retire?
I think the only reason that it would matter would be your health insurance.
Right.
That some insurances, look at you Medicare, some insurances start on the first of the month. Most insurances can have a mid-month effective date because it's a life event, you're transferring over.
Right, if you're going on a spouse's insurance, for instance, or COBRA, it doesn't matter if it's the middle of the month, but if it's Medicare or sometimes some of the Affordable Care Act policies, like you start on the first of the month.
All right, super.
All right.
Talk about medical insurance options.
Oh, boy. All right, so when you retire, what are your medical insurance options and how much do they cost? So COBRA is one, as you can see by the little dollar signs, it's pretty costly. You're paying the full rate. When we're working, we pay 20% of the cost, and the company actually pays 80%. So while it seems expensive, guess what? The company is paying a lot more in subsidizing that insurance. But if you elect COBRA, you're paying 100% plus a 3% or something like that admin fee. So AA retiree medical insurance, that's the retiree standard medical plan.
There's more dollars.
There's more dollar signs. It's ridiculously expensive, but it is an option for people that, that some people may think that's the best option for them. So we mentioned it. It is expensive though. The Affordable Care Act, this is what most people will go and look on the ACA website to find out if there's a plan that will work for them until they're eligible for Medicare, if they retired and went on COBRA, for example. Or Medicare, once you're 65, pretty much your option is to go on Medicare, unless you're taking another job that offers insurance, or you have a spouse that's still working or was in the military or something, and you want to stay on that insurance. And then the old fashioned way, you know, you could marry someone with insurance, and if they're cute, might work out. I'm gonna die young, but that's not really much. We don't want to go there. So, all right, let's talk about COBRA. COBRA is a way to continue the exact health insurance coverage you had as an active employee. So you don't have to establish your deductible and out of pocket or anything. It's just a continuation of the exact same plan that you had. But the participant pays the full cost. It's a 2%.
Oh, that's the deal.
Not 3%. So it is costly. Coverage can last for up to 18 months, just for normal. That's the normal time that people would get it, or it could be continued for up to 29 months for people that become eligible for Social Security disability. It must be taken, the catches within the first 60 days of leaving the company. So if you miss that window of opportunity, they're not going to come back and offer it to you again. And it's a one-shot deal. So, you know, like I said, miss out on that window, you're not going to get it. So more about COBRA. COBRA can include medical, dental, vision, and your flex spending accounts. And as Patrick mentioned before, you can mix and match the coverage. So you can say, hey, I'm eligible for Medicare, so I want the medical and dental, I want the dental and vision, but I don't want the medical. And a lot of people do that. Once the coverage begins, it's retroactive to the date that you leave the company. So your life event for being offered COBRA, your COBRA eligibility window, is triggered by your retirement or by a life event. And in this case, the life event would be your retirement. So you can't sign up for COBRA before, no matter how much you want to plan ahead and everything. You just have to wait till your retirement, then the life event occurs, and you have your 60 days to sign up for the COBRA. Now, you can wait and they'll send you an enrollment packet in the mail. But most people go online these days to the Benefits Service Center on their retirees website and sign up there because it's quicker. And once you do sign up, it's retroactive to the date of your retirement. So another thing to remember about COBRA is you don't want to be late. Most people set up a direct debit or some sort of a payment plan because your coverage will be dropped if you make a late payment. All right, COBRA and Medicare. One last thing to remember, and this is if you become eligible for Medicare while you're still working. Well, first of all, COBRA is not considered creditable coverage for Medicare. So it's not a viable alternative to Medicare. You may think, I like the company, I like the insurance I was on. But guess what? If you decide to stay on the company insurance, COBRA won't consider that, Medicare won't consider it credible coverage because it was COBRA and you'll be assessed a penalty later on. So you want to sign up for Medicare for sure once you're age 65, or if you're eligible for Medicare due to a disability. COBRA is always secondary to Medicare. So your AA retiree medical insurance, you must be between age 55 and 65 at the time of retirement in order to be eligible. You have to be eligible for the 65-point plan. The participant pays the full cost of this coverage, and it's very expensive. The price is not capped, and it actually doubled in 2015. It's very unstable. So here's an example. It's good coverage, it's a old standard medical plan. If you're an LAA person back in the day, $150 deductible, $1,000 out-of-pocket max. Not bad coverage at all.
I like that. That's
Not
great.
bad. However, per person per month for 2023, $2,171. Crazy.
Per month?
Per month. That's the monthly cost for a single person. Yikes. That's why most people don't sign up for it. And if in a good year, say this year, 2023, nobody has any serious health conditions that are in that plan, the cost could go down. But if you people have some really intensive medical issues, then the price is going to go up for everybody. And that's why it's kind of unreliable if you're on a fixed income. So now that you've seen the costs and our emotional support goat has fainted, I wanted to faint too when I saw it. Let's see what are some other options. So there's the Affordable Care Act. Go to www.healthcare.gov and check out the plans. And it's going to vary some from state to state because each state signed up for the Affordable Care Act in their own way at a different level. In some states, you can get tax credits if your income is below a certain amount, and that's a good thing. You could be eligible for a subsidy. And AA has a company that they contract with called VIA Benefits. And they can help you if you're pre-65 when you retire and you need to find a plan on the Affordable Care Act. There's one number if you're pre-65 and another number if you're post-65 because VIA Benefits can also help you find Medicare supplement plans and so on. Medicare Part D. So we'll talk a little bit more about Medicare in a minute. It's just a resource that's available that the company provides, and we do have all their contact information in the back of our Good Slide retirement packet. All right, so a little bit more about Medicare. Employers and spouses, if you're still working and you hit age 65, we get this question all the time, do I have to go on Medicare? No, you do not. You can wait till you retire. You're not required to go on Medicare if you have employer-provided health insurance. So Medicare includes Part A, Part B, and Part D. So Medicare Part A, which a lot of people do go ahead and sign up for while they're still working because it usually isn't there usually isn't a charge for it for most people. And Part A is the hospitalization part of Medicare. So often people who turn 65 and are still working will sign up for Part A, but defer signing up for any of the other things that you would have to pay. Part B is the hospitalization portion, and Part D is D for drug. It's the prescription drug portion of Medicare, and those you need to sign up for. Talk to a Medicare broker and sign up. Probably start the process about 60 days prior to your retirement. If you wait too long, you could be subject to late enrollment fees, so you don't want to do that. And in order, if you retire after the age of 65, to avoid late enrollment fees, because Medicare doesn't really know you've had good coverage through your employer, so you have to fill out this form, which is called the Medicare Employer Verification Form, otherwise known as the CMSL 564. You need to, probably about 60 days before you plan to retire, get that form from the Medicare website, fax it into the company, and they will mail it back to you in snail mail. And then you send that form, take it to your Social Security office along with your application for Medicare Part B, and you'll get the ball rolling on signing up for Medicare so you can smoothly transition into Medicare when you retire. So here's a copy of the employment verification form, just so you can see what it looks like. The top portion is very small, and that's the part that you fill out. And then, like I said, probably the quickest ways to get it to the company, I wouldn't mail it in because that doesn't seem really reliable these days. I would either fax it or you can upload it on JetNet. So those are the two best options. All right, more about Medicare. Part of Medicare, Medicare doesn't really have an out-of-pocket max. So, once you need a deductible or whatever, you're paying 20%, Medicare pays 80%, but something bad happens, your 20% could get really big. So you need to have something to cover those extra out-of-pocket expenses, and that's what the Medigap policies are. So there's 10 different Medigap plans available, and those are also called Medicare supplement plans. AA retirees also have an 11th option, which is a Medigap Viva plan. It just means that it's another Medigap plan that was set up in a special trust for retired airline workers. So we have a little bit of information about that plan, who to contact if you want more information on the APFA website on the retirement page. And Medicare Part C is another option. It's a Medicare Advantage plan. It's set up more like an HMO, so you would have a certain network of doctors that you have to go to. It can be a great plan. It has lots of little perks. They like to try and get you to sign up for a Medicare Advantage plan. If you're in a big city, it may be wonderful. If you're out in the country, that network might not be too great. So you really want to talk to a Medicare advisor and make sure you know what you're signing up for. You know, people go, well, how do I start? Well, you talk to a Medicare advisor and you go, hey, these are my medical issues. These are the drugs I'm on, and these are the doctors I want to keep. I want to make sure that to try and find a plan that covers those things. And that's the best place to start when you're looking. Don't just sign up for something because your brother signed up for, or your best friend or whatever. You know, you want to make sure it's going to cover your need. And so obviously you can get more information on www.medicare.gov. All right, so we've covered a lot of important questions so far, and we're going to we covered what you need to retire, what do you get, what about income. Patrick was very informative. So now what are those other little details you need to research? Well, you need to think about life events. You need to think about optional insurance coverage. Dental insurance, does that even exist? Flexible spending accounts, how do I manage that? So life events. Important thing to remember is that your retirement is your spouse or your partner's life event if they're going to add you to their insurance. So you have 30 to 60 days to fill out the life event form online and let them add you to their benefit. Or, you know, say your spouse is, you're still working, your spouse is an employee and they're leaving the company, you have the 30 days to add them to your insurance. So just don't forget those life event deadlines, it's important. If you're married to another AA employee and you're going on their insurance, it's important to remember that when you switch, they're going to consider that a new plan. So your deductibles and out-of-pocket maxes will reset. Patrick mentioned this, if it's towards the end of the year, it might be worth it to just cover your own benefits for another month or a month and a half, you know, so you have to weigh out the cost and, you know, if you needed any more medical before the end of the year and so on. Okay, more about optional insurance. Examples of this are your MetLife, legal, Hyatt legal, your long-term care plans, home, auto, pet insurance. All of these plans can be continued. You just have to contact the administrator of the plans and say, hey, set me up on a direct bill process because I'm retiring and I'm not going to have it payroll deducted anymore. The employer life insurance we mentioned before, that will end. However, you will be given the option to port or convert it into a private policy within 30 to 60 days after your retirement. So it doesn't require a medical exam to qualify to continue life insurance, and that's a good thing if you have any health issues or whatever. However, it's kind of costly, so you want to look at, you know, request the information, get it from MetLife, and decide if it's worth it for you. Contact MetLife for the life insurance or Lina for the AD&D and voluntary personal accident insurance. Long-term and short-term disability coverage will end. So once you're not an employee of AA, you won't have LTD or optional short-term disability coverage. However, if you already had a claim prior to your retirement, your payments could continue if you're still disabled and eligible to receive benefits. So why you won't have coverage to file a new claim, if you have a pre-existing claim, those benefits should continue for as long as you're still disabled. All right, dental insurance. Nobody seems to want to look after the teeth of retirees. It's really sad, but it is getting better. So we are offered retiree dental insurance. It's zip code rated. It's kind of a high dollar, low benefit product, and not very many people sign up. Most people are asking, what are some other options? One of them is you can join a dental kind of a discount network, and one is the Dental Club of America. our dental benefit services of America, which is offered by the AA Credit Union. Costco has something similar, so people look at those. It's not really insurance, but if you join the network, all the doctors in that network will provide you with discounted services for dental treatment. You can go to dental schools and be a guinea pig. Some people do that, so maybe.
How long before the bleeding stops?
No, but don't look great afterwards.
All right.
Also now it's getting better because, people are living longer and Medicare has realized that dental is part of our general health profile. And so there's starting to be a little bit more option as far as the Medicare Advantage plans and Medicare supplement plans having dental providers that you can add. So if you're talking to a Medicare advisor, you should ask about that too. All right, flex spending. So you know how every year we go, you gotta use that flex spending account before the end of the year, because if you have more than $500 in it at the end of the year, you could lose that. Well, when you retire, it's your one chance to take advantage of the flex spending account and use it, in a way that maybe you get more out of it and the company has to use it a little bit. So what does that mean? If you put your, say, $1,000 a month in for your flex spending account, and then you retire 2 months into the year, you're entitled to use the full amount, the full 12,000, even in January or February. If you use it and then you retire in March, hey, the company's gonna have to eat the rest of it, even if you use the full amount. So you use it and they lose it. This is the one time you can take advantage of that. Now, if you're retiring in December, obviously, you want to use it all, but you're gonna be paying the monthly amount all along. So it really depends on how and when you retire as far as how you're gonna maximize the flex spending account. All right, Patrick, a little more about deciding when the right time is to retire.
All right. It's time to decide, and it's your turn. And the thing is, there's an awful lot of moving pieces, but I know flight attendants, and there's nothing here that you can't handle. You think about how amazingly complex your day is, from, boarding 256 people, getting the service done, to making sure that everyone arrives safe, healthy. It's incredibly complicated, and we do it day in and day out. I know you can do it. So what do you need to do before you start your leave? Start a list. A checklist, okay. And there's actually a really good start for a checklist on page 37 of the APFA retirement package. Good slide. How do you do a checklist? One task, one step at a time, in order, just like the planned emergency checklist. I like to think of it as a planned departure checklist. And if you have one, it will work wonders, because you will be focused on where to go next. If you try to think about all the pieces of it at the same time, you're going to overwhelm yourself, unless you're incredibly OCD. And so I recommend the checklist just so that you can keep focused on your next step. And more importantly, don't be afraid to ask questions. You've never retired before. There are an awful lot of resources
Like us.
like us, APFA, retirement at apfa.org. And don't be afraid to ask questions of the company, the union, your financial advisors, Medicare, Social Security. Get all the information that you can, because you've never done this before. And once you've done all that, you're prepared. You've got this. You are ready. Let's go. Good slide.
All right.
A few more questions?
So I must be separated from the company, LIA, in order to collect my pension.
99.99% of the time, yes.
Can you talk again about COBRA on medical leave versus COBRA as retiree? What's the transition?
Okay, so COBRA has a start point, you become eligible for COBRA due to a certain life event, and your life event could be COBRA for medical leave. If you're on medical leave and you're already getting COBRA and you retire, then that's not going to reset everything. You've already had your COBRA life event. If you're not on medical leave and you're retired, you're gonna be offered COBRA when you retire. So I guess the important thing to remember is that if you're on medical leave and you're already on COBRA, you're not gonna be offered more COBRA on top of the COBRA that you have. Unless, again, you become eligible for a Social Security disability award within a certain period of time after you were offered COBRA. So the health department at APFA or the retirement department can kind of look at your specific situation and give you some more information if you need it.
If you changed spouse insurance, can you still add Viva Medicare gap when you start Medicare?
Yes, you get a choice of any of those Medicare plans when you start Medicare, and not only that, but every year, every enrollment, you can change your Medicare supplemental plan, or Medicare plan.
The thing to remember is that you don't want to go the El Cheapo route necessarily, because when you start Medicare, you choose a plan. Later on, they can ask you medical questions if you change the plan. So it's like most insurance, your first time is the best time to get what you want.
Yeah, and if I may go down a rabbit hole for just a little bit here, the Medicare Part A has co-pays and co-insurances in it. Like you said, it's an 80-20 plan. And so you have a deductible when you go into the hospital under Part A. And in 2023, your inpatient deductible is $1,600. So you pay for the first $1,600, and then Medicare pays for 80% of that. And then once you get to, for the first 59 days, once you get 60 first day in the hospital, you start paying $400 a day as you're part of co-insurance for Medicare. And then if it's in 90 days, you start paying $800 a day. What's $400 a day? Let's see, that's $12,000 a month. What's $800 a day? That's $24,000 a month. Yeah, you need to insure that risk, that gap, and that's what Medigap does, as long as you have a good one. And like Kim says, don't cheap out on it, because the risk is really high.
Is there any reimbursement for what we paid into unused LTD and STD upon retirement?
No. It's
It's kind of a term insurance, yeah.
like your car insurance, if you get disabled while you have the coverage, it's gonna pay, otherwise, like me, I, 38 years, I've been paying for it, I haven't used it yet. I could look back and go, oh, but it was my safety net, I knew if I ran out of sick time and something happened, I would have that ability to file for the disability coverage, so it gave me a certain sense of security, even though I'm not gonna get any money out of it when I retire.
All right, that is the last of our questions. Any parting thoughts?
Nothing I can think of, just give us a call here at APFA or an email at retirement@apfa.org if you have any questions.
I would say make sure you got all three things covered, that you have your insurance plan, you have your income plan, and make sure you're ready, and then let's go.
All right, great. Well, thank you all for spending a portion of your day today with us, and we hope you have a great day. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.